Hi there, I'm Yasin Kütük. Today we will start to learn Google Analytics platform. Welcome to Google Analytics for everyone. In this course, we will take you through a basic understanding of Google Analytics platform. I will show you how to create and implement an account, set up views and filters, read basic reports, setting up the dashboards, perform basic analysis and set up goals and campaign tracking. We will study in this part defining digital analytics, the analytics account structure, and setting up your account views by filters with 25 slides. I'm giving you this course as assistant professor in the departments of economics at Altenbasch University. I'm also holding a PhD degree in economics. I'm focusing academically on the areas of econometrics, statistics, and machine learning. In parallel with my research areas, I'm writing research papers on applied sciences. As of 2018, I'm lecturing on econometrics in both theoretical and applied statistics, statistical learning, R and Python programming, and introduction to data science. To begin, let's start by defining digital analytics and why it is so important nowadays. We should ask the question, what's the deal with digital analytics? People usually purchase goods in stages. In marketing, we have the concept of a purchase funnel. There are different stages with the funnel that describe customer interactions. A basic purchase funnel includes the following 3 steps. Acquisition is the first part, involves building awareness and acquiring user interest. Behavior is the second part and is when users engage with your businesses. Conversation is when a user becomes a customer and transactions with your business. In the offline world, this process can be really hard to measure, but in the online world, we can measure many different aspects of the funnel using digital analytics. We can track what online behavior led to purchases and use that data to make informed decisions about how to reach new and existing customers. Digital analytics in practice, we can think about an online store such as hepsiburada.com. It might have a goal to sell more t-shirts. Using digital analytics, the store could collect the data from their online advertising campaigns to see which are most effective ways and expand those marketing efforts. For example, the store could analyze geographical sales data to understand if people in certain places buy a lot of shirts and then run additional advertising campaigns in those areas. They could also use analytics platform to understand how users progress through their online shopping cart. If they notice that users have trouble with the particular step on their website, they can make changes to the site to resolve the problem. Different kinds of businesses can benefit from digital analytics. Publishers can use analytics to create a loyal, highly engaged audience and to better align on-site advertising with user interest. E-commerce businesses can use digital analytics to understand customers' online purchasing behavior and better market their products and services. Lead generation sites can collect user information for sales teams to connect with potential leads. While we have primarily talked about collecting data from a website, Google Analytics platform can also collect behavioral data from a variety of sources, systems such as mobile applications, online points, sales systems, video games consoles, customer relations management systems, or other internet-connected platforms. This data is compiled into analytics report, which you can use to perform in-depth analysis to better understand your customers and their purchase journey. Then you can test your new solutions to improve your businesses. Google Analytics is actually a platform that collects the data and compiles it into useful reports. To track a website, you first have to create a Google Analytics account. Then you need to add a small piece of JavaScript tracking code to each page on your website. every time a user visits a web page, the tracking code will collect anonymous information about how that user interacted with the pages. For the Google Store, the tracking code could show how many users visited uh, a web page that sells drinkware versus a page that sells houseware, for instance, or it could tell us how many users bought an item like an Android phone by tracking whether they made it to purchase confirmation page. But the tracking code, which is actually a so useful one, will also collect information from the browsers like the languages the browser is set to, the type of the browser, such as the Chrome, Safari, or Firefox, and the device and operating system also used to access the Google Store. It can even collect the traffic source, which is what brought users to the site in the first place. This might be a search engine, an advertisement they clicked on, or an email marketing company. Keep in mind that every time a page loads, the tracking code will collect and send updated information about the user's activity. Google Analytics groups this activity into a period of time called a session, but a session begins when a user navigates to a page that includes the Google Analytics tracking code. A session ends after 30 minutes of inactivity. If user returns a page after a session ends, a new session will begin. When the tracking code collects the data, it packages that information up and sends it to the Google Analytics to be processed into the reports. When Analytics processes the data, it aggregates and organizes the data based on particular criteria like whether a user's device is mobile or desktop or which browser they are using. But there are also configuration settings that allow you to customize how that data is processed. For example, you might want to apply a filter to make sure your data doesn't include any internal company traffic or only includes data from a particular country or region that's important to your businesses. Please look at that once analytics process the data, it is stored in database where it can be changed. So remember, when you set up your configuration, don't include any data you think you might want to analyze later. Once the data has been processed and stored in the database, it will appear in the Google Analytics as reports. We will show you what these reports look like a little later. Now that you know how data that gets collected, let's look at how Google Analytics accounts are organized. All of your Google Analytics accounts can be grouped under the Organization tab, which is optional one. This allows you to manage multiple Google Analytics accounts under one grouping. Large businesses or agencies could have multiple accounts, while medium to small-sized businesses generally use only one account. When you create an account, you also automatically create a property and within that property, a view for that account. But each analytics account can have multiple properties and each property can have multiple views. This lets you organize your analytics data collection in a way that best reflects your businesses. The Google Analytics account determines how data is collected from your websites and manages who can access the data. But typically, you would create a separate Google Analytics account for distinct businesses or business units. Each Google Analytics account has at least one property, but each property can collect data independently of each other using a unique tracking ID that appears in your tracking code. You may assign multiple properties to each account so you can collect data from different websites, mobile applications, or other digital assets associated with your businesses. For example, you might want to have separate properties for different sales regions or different brands. This allows you to easily view the data for an individual part of your businesses, but please keep in mind these won't allow you to see data from separate properties in aggregate. Just as each account can have multiple properties, each property can have multiple views. You can use a feature called filters in your configuration settings to determine what data you want to include in these reports for each report. For example, the Google Store sells merchandise from their website across different geographical regions. They could create one view that includes all of their global website data, but if they wanted to see data for individual regions, they could create separate views for North America, Europe, and Asia, for instance. If the Google Store wanted to see the data for external traffic, they could set up a view that filtered out internal traffic based on an IP address. The view level also lets you set Google Analytics as goals. Goals are valuable way to track conversations or business objectives from your website. A goal could be how many users signed up for an email newsletter or how many users purchased the product. We will discuss goals and conversations in a later sessions. Be thoughtful when you setting up your accounts, properties, and views because you cannot change data once it has been collected and processed by Google Analytics. Before we move on to user access permissions, there are a couple of important things to note about your views. First, new views only include data from the date the view was created on and onwards. When you create a new view, it will not include past data. Second, if you delete a view, only administrations can recover that view within a limited time amount of time. Otherwise, this will permanently delete it. You can assign permissions to other users at the account, property, or view level. Each level inherits permissions from the level above it. For example, if you have access to an account, then you have the same access permissions to the properties and views underneath that account. But if you only have access permissions for a view, then you won't have permissions to modify the property or account associated with that view. By clicking Admin, Google Analytics lets you set users' permissions for manage users, edit, collaborate, or read and analyze. Manage users lets users add or remove user access to the account, property, or view. Edit part lets users make changes to the configuration settings, but collaborate allows users to share things like dashboards or certain measurement settings. But then finally, read and analyze lets users view data, analyze reports, and create dashboards, but restricts them from making changes to the settings or adding new users. How you configure your organization's accounts, properties, and views can affect how your data gets collected. Be thoughtful when you're setting up your Google Analytics implementation again, and make sure you align your properties and views of the data you collect with your overall business structure. To see what views are currently available for a property, click the Admin tab at the top. Then, under the View section, click View Settings. You can see that when you first create a property, Analytics automatically sets up an unfiltered view called All Website Data. This contains all of the raw, unchanged data you collected from the property. We recommend changing the name to raw data so you'll know that the data hasn't been filtered. To change the name, we will simply type in the new name. Now click Save. Setting up a test new, we will set up a test view to test our settings. If we configure something incorrectly, we may inadvertently lose data we want to collect. So it's best to test all of our configurations in this test view first. To set up a test view, at the top left, click the View selector, pull down the menu. Then select Create New View. We will name this view Test View. Now click Create View. Notice that you are now in the test view. For this property, we recommend adding a setting to the test view that filters your data for automated bot and spider traffic. For this test view, select View Settings, then we will scroll down. Under Bot Filtering, select Exclude all hits from known bots and spiders. This will help filter out bots and traffic. Now click Save. Next, let's create a master view. This will be the view that we use to do all of our reporting and analysis. We can simply copy the test view and rename it. To copy the view, in the top right corner, click Copy the View. We will rename the view as Master View. Now click Copy View. If you go into the View menu, you can see that we have successfully copied the menu and created this new view. By copying this view, all of our settings and filters we created, like excluding bot traffic, will also be included in the new view. Now we have three views that can be used to back up our data. Test new analytics configurations and do our analytics configuration and do our daily reports and analysis. But we still need to add filters to determine what data we want analytics to display in each view. We will set up a common filter on the test view to exclude internal IP traffic. That way we can measure online Google Store behavior strictly for external customers without any employee influence. In the right-hand column under the view, change the view selector to test view. This will ensure we are creating our filters in the right view. Now click the filters. Then click Add Filter. We will rename this filter Exclude Internal Traffic. Analytics offers two kinds of filters, predefined and custom filters. Predefined filters are templates for the most common filters. You will use custom filters let you design a filter to include, exclude, or modify data. Since excluding data by IP address is common, analytics offer a predefined filter for that, so we will have the filter type as predefined. Next, click Select Filter Type. Then click Add Filter. We will name this filter Exclude Internal Traffic. Analytics offer two kinds of filter, predefined and custom filters. Predefined filters are templates for the most common filters you will use. Custom filters let you design a filter to include, exclude, or modify data. Since excluded data by IP address is so common, analytics offer a predefined filter for that, so we will leave the type filter typed as predefined. Next, click Select Filter Type. Then select Exclude. Now click Select Source or Destination. Select or Destination from the menu and then select traffic from the IP address you want to imply that. Finally, click Select Expression and then select that are equal to something else. Now we will type in the IP address we want to exclude. You can find your public IP address by opening a new tab and searching for what is my IP on Google. We will copy the IP address into the IP address field. At the bottom, click Save. Note that the filter we just created now shows up in the list of the filters. Once we have saved this filter and applied it to a view, Google Analytics will check the IP addresses of traffic to the web property and exclude those that match the filter. It will take a little time. Please be patient for the filter to catch all the traffic. To test that the filter is excluding internal traffic, click Reporting, then click Real Time on the left-hand navigation. Now click Overview. This shows you a report of real-time traffic to your website. If you are on your internal network, you should notice that your internal user traffic should decline over the next 30 minutes. Once the filter have taken effect, analytics won't collect any internal activity for the IP address you have already filtered. Once you have verified this filter is working in your test view, you can add it to your master view. Click on the Admin tab, then select View, pull down the menu, select the master view. Now click the filters, then click Add Filter. Now instead of create new filter, select the radio button for applying existing filter. This will allow you to select from a list of the filters you have previously created. Click Save button. Now you can see that the filter is applied to the master view. Note that if you apply multiple filters to a view, each filter can be applied in the order they appear in your filter settings. So if you have two filters, the data will pass through the first filter before passing through the second. So be mindful of the order in which you apply your filters. It's that easy to create or add predefined filters to views to make sure you are collecting and protecting the data you need. In the next video, we will look at the interface of the platform. We will look at the reporting, reviews, and the dashboards, and also we will also look at the shortcuts of the Google Analytics platform. Thanks for your great concern and see you in the next video.